Hi, well, this is Matt from Robotics, and this is part two of a demonstration video that I've made showing the current capabilities of this sorter. So in part one, I think I went through a lot of things here, so I'm just gonna let the video run, and when I see something that I think is interesting to point out, I will. So that's obviously a mistake there. It really didn't see that 1x4 object correctly, so it moved it out of the way instead of what it should have done, which I think it's going to try to do now. So that is what I'm calling a double scooch. So it sort of scooches things out of the way so it can get the gripper down there to grab the object that it's after. So that's what I'm calling a spread. When the sorter decides that a particular area is too crowded, it'll try to spread the objects out a little bit. So there's a pretty good grab. Going to try to do another scooch there. Not an incredibly successful scooch, but as long as it does a grab, it's a successful scooch. Another gray 1x8, it looks like. As I said in the previous video, right now if you take everything into account, the scooching, the dispensing, the moving, the dropping, the gathering, and the grabbing, if you take all that into account, I'm seeing about 20 seconds per object, and that is for sure about as slow as this system is ever going to be. There is lots of room for improvement there. But if you do the math, and in fact I'll do the math right now. Pull out my handy dandy calculator here. If you run this system 24/7, let's calculate how many objects and approximately how many kilograms and pounds it will do in a day. So there are 86,400 seconds in one day, and if this sorter is doing one every 20 seconds, then I divide that number by 20. So it will sort about 4,320 objects per day. The average weight of an object I've estimated to be about 2 grams. So we can multiply that by 2, and we get 8,640 grams, which is 8.64 kilograms divided by 1,000. And if we multiply that by 2.2 pounds per kilogram, we get about 19 pounds per day. So as the system is right now, as you're watching it, it will sort 19 pounds per day, which, as I said, is slow, but this is as slow as it's going to be. I'm sort of intentionally moving the arm relatively slowly. I've also got a number of pauses in between each move of the arm that can definitely be reduced. There's also the whole idea behind which object is best to grab next, and the algorithm that I'm using, at least right now, is adequate, but it's not as efficient as it possibly can be. I'm sure you'll notice, when you pay attention to this a little bit, that sometimes it makes some pretty stupid moves, where it's like, why did you do that? When you could have done something else. So there is a gather. What it does is it looks in the work area, which is pretty much that whole entire enclosed white area there. That work area isn't reachable by the entire arm. Sometimes the system can't see it at all, and sometimes there are objects on the edge that can be seen but not really grabbed. And so when there are objects on the edge that it can see, it will do a gather where it takes that little tool and tries at least to move some objects that were on the edge more into the grabbing area. Once in a while, and I'll point this out when it happens, the sorter will hallucinate, and that is simply caused by the fact that the light that I'm using is an AC powered light. Okay, yeah, so there's a hallucination right there. It's an AC powered light, so it has a 60 hertz flicker. The cameras that I'm using are running at about 25 to 30 hertz. So I've done a couple of things to deal with that, because what you'll get is just these dark horizontal bars going through all the images, and that really confuses the sorter. I've dealt with that to a certain extent, but once in a while it pops up, and so the sorter will see these bars and say, oh, that's an object that I should go do something with. So here I've paused the system a little bit to move that air hose, that loop on the right side right there. If it's hanging too far out, it tends to catch the dispenser. So there's a couple of ways to deal with that. One is just to make sure that it never moves. I've tried to do that a little bit, but I'm not quite successful enough yet. So I just in these demonstrations, I'll stop it and just sort of move that thing out of the way, and then restart it. So here it looks like it's going to do a double scooch for that blue 2x2. Does a pretty good grab there, and it looks like it put it in the correct bin. Yeah, very cool. So that bunch in the middle there looks pretty crowded, and I'm hoping that it's either going to do some kind of a spread or a scooch. Let's see what it does. But it's on a different mission at the moment. It tried to grab that red 1x8 and just grabbed a little too hard there. Sometimes it doesn't get the geometry of the object exactly right, so it does kind of a funky grab. But as I said, as long as it does a grab, that thing is a success. Okay, I'm going to pause now, and we're going to move on to part 3.